target out, then I'll the mark.
I didn't bring any of my nice rifles today. I didn't bring any of my nice rifles today. I feel bad. Alright, I'm gonna split the and let me see what's over there.
It's pretty good.
I see a small piece of garbage. Interesting. To track through like 6 and 8. I just want to put 10 rounds actually on target. I'm shooting the
all of the bullets. Whatever you want.
You gotta find the right distance away from the scope. Now you're gonna rack it again. I wonder.
Well, hello there.
Hello.
It's been a little bit. I tried to do this video before and it got way too long, so I wrote a script for it and I got busy. So it's been months since I've shot it. And I know it's not laying in front of you on the table on my rifle because I haven't bought one. The PLXC RDB 1.5 to 12 by 36. First off, thank you to Vore for letting me run his rifle and play with his optic. He has it mounted on a Geisley 14.5 Mod 1A in a 170 Reptilia mount. I'm very pleased with 170 height mounts, and I'm very comfortable on the Geisley Super Duties, so it was very nice. And I really appreciate him letting me mess with it so much. Usually someone's like, oh hey, can I see this? He's like, hey, as long as you want, do whatever you want.
I just want to put 10 rounds actually on target. I'm shooting the
all of the bullets. Whatever you want.
It was very nice, but I didn't touch the eyepiece, the parallax, or the turrets. They weren't mine to touch. All I did was shoot it and look through it at the range, which was much more beneficial than looking through it at a store or in perfect lighting conditions. I also got to compare it to this 2-10 Credo, and Vore's buddy brought his Mark 12 with a Trijicon 10 mile 3-18, which has this same reticle. It's a lot longer, but some of you in the comments are like, hey, get the 3-18 10 mile, it's really cool. So I got to compare all three of them. It was very nice, and thank you both for the opportunity. I got to basically run the new meta setup, a 14.5 with this 1.5 to 12 in a 170 mount. It was a great setup. So I'm gonna just run through my thoughts really quickly on what it did well, what's not so great, my concerns with the short outing that I had with it at the range. And again, I'm very thankful that I was afforded this opportunity because everybody's talking about this optic. The things that did really well, the bezel almost completely disappears when you look down it. The reticle was very good and I found it very usable. The center of the glass was very clear, crystal clear.
The crazy thing is, the highs are better on this. Like the center glass is better. Yeah. This is just generally good. So it's like the clarity is similar on the general scale, but like if you look at the center of that optic, it dunks on this one.
I don't mind. The thing is, like, as long as the center, I would say 60% of the optic is clean, I don't really give a shit what the edges look like.
Yeah.
The optic overall was very light. I'm not sure if that's good or not yet. We'll get to that a little bit later. Zero possibility that someone says the reticle illumination is not nuclear bright. It might be too bright, realistically. Also, I found the throw to be extremely smooth. So dialing it up and down was very easy. What it did not so well. 3X looks very bad.
They're easy to track through like 6 and 8.
It's not a pissing contest or anything.
Oh, I agree.
Wait, agree on what?
Well, ironically, I was watching the CW, not really watching it, but listening to the CW's review on the drive over.
Yeah.
And he says he doesn't like it at 3, and I see why.
He doesn't like the what?
He doesn't like it at 3.
There is a diopter shift, yeah. That's going to be basically every optic is going to have.
Oh yeah, no, it's going to be somewhere. It's just at 3.
It's the same thing. It's at 2.9 on the razor, so it's like.
I like this way more than I thought I would.
Did buy one.
Genuinely bad. I know optics, every single optic suffers somewhere. But on this one, 3X is noticeably bad. When you're shooting competition or you're doing something with known distances, sometimes you pick a 3X or a 4X or 5X, somewhere in that happy medium range so you can see it a little closer, but you're just trying to quickly hit it so you can transition right to left or left to right. 3X is something a lot of people use, and 3X is very bad on this optic. I'm also going to say it does not have edge-to-edge clarity. The outside 5 to maybe 10%. I might be being a little too generous with that percentage, but it has very noticeable distortion on the edges. And it's not just a very little bit, it's distracting at 1X. I think all the way to about 3X, but 3X is just noticeably bad. The forward mounting space on the optic is very, very small. Again, he had it in a Reptilia 170 mount, and there was almost zero space. It would very much limit the ability to fine tune the adjustment when spacing. It's great if you plug it into the optic mount you're using, put it on your rifle, and it's the exact spacing you need for your eyes. But if it's not and you have to back it up or scooch it forward a little less than what a 1913 section would give you, then you're not going to have that fine adjustment space that you need, say with one of these optics where you have all this real estate and you can move it back and forward as you need to without necessarily moving your mount. I want to say that's nitpicking, but it could be an issue. It probably won't be an issue for most people, but if you're really tall or really short, that's where you might run into those issues. The eye box and eye relief at the higher end magnification was very tough. 12X has to be extremely precise, but I found it easier to work with versus the Vortex 1-10. He has a Vortex 1-10, and I've used it multiple times on the rifles he's moved it to. The Vortex 1-10 and I have a little bit of a tumultuous relationship. I don't like the fisheye at 1X, and I don't like how the optic performs above 8X. It really should have been a 1-8. The 12X on this optic was very tight. I think it's a mixture, and I don't understand optics the way all the optics guys understand it. I know there's a bunch of dudes that are gonna tell me that, and it's right, it's correct. Okay, but getting behind a 30mm tube optic, I always know I'm on a 30mm tube optic. There's never a time that I get behind a 30mm tube and don't feel cramped, okay? Maybe on an LPVO, like a Vortex Razor 1-6 Gen 2E, or even my Steiner sometimes, but the second you jump up to a 34mm tube, you feel so much better. And I know that it's just more space inside the optic tube to let things move and gives you more adjustment or whatever. And everyone's like, it's only 4mm of difference, but that 4mm feels really significant sometimes. And that's how this 30mm tube optic feels. Not at 1X, but the second you start dialing it up, and I know it's more a function of the objective lens than it is the tube diameter, but you really do feel it. On 12X, you have to have really specific head placement, but again, I know everyone's gonna say, and myself included, you're not taking shots on the move at 12X. You're gonna be supported, you know, well positioned, and then you're going to take that shot at 12X. There's also the just back it down crowd. Yes, but if I pay for 12X, I'm going to use 12X. All right, I can use 15X on my T5XI, okay, or 8X on my Trijicon Credo 1-8. I'm going to use it. It's there. Everyone's going to try to use it. And lastly, there was quite a bit of chromatic aberration, more so than this optic and other optics I've used. I got to look at them side by side. It was mostly in the morning and high noon light on white targets, but the purple chromatic aberration was very noticeable. I think the chromatic aberration on it, because the glass is stretched, basically it's It's right at the edge of its performance capabilities, and you can see that, but with the distortion on the edge, coupled with the chromatic aberration with high UV light situations, I think it's a little bit distracting. It's not something that's going to prevent you from getting hits or prevent you from using the optic, but there is a noticeable chromatic aberration. It's not something where it's faint on the edges or it's a little soft on the edges of your target. It's quite vibrant. What I'm worried about with this optic, so I know this is going to be the new meta for a lot of you that can afford it, and that's my first, what I'm worried about is it's Night Force money. This optic is 100% Night Force money. It also feels to me in a lot of ways, minus a lot of the fisheye. There's some fisheye and there's definitely edge distortion, but it does kind of feel like an NX8 in a lot of ways. But it's better than an NX8. The glass is better also. I don't know if it justifies commanding that price. Durability is a question for me. It's mostly because the weight. It feels very light. I don't know if the durability is there. It just doesn't feel sturdy. It doesn't feel cheap, but it doesn't feel sturdy, if that makes sense. And it doesn't have to be heavy or super thick or any of that stuff to be sturdy. It just doesn't. If you get one, you'll know what I'm talking about. And I hate that trust me bro kind of vibe that I'm throwing out here, but if you mess with it, it doesn't feel super sturdy. I don't know. My other point of concern is it's a lot of stuff packed into an optic. I do think it might have been better off as a 34mm tube optic, but I understand they're trying to keep the form factor thin and small. I think all of the 8X scopes I like are 34mm, and a lot of the optics that I tend to gravitate towards are 34mm. I have trouble with 30mm 8X optics. The glass seems to be stretched, and this is an 8 times magnification range. A lot of dudes will say it doesn't matter. I absolutely feel it in this optic. And my last point of concern that I raised earlier is the mounting options may be a struggle fest with the real estate that you have in the front ring space. It's not undoable though. I don't want you to look at this and be like, oh, he's just, you know, or, oh, I can't use it now because he said that it's not either of those things. It's somewhere in the middle. If you're a really tall dude and you need that fore to aft adjustment space for that fine tuning, or if you're super short and it's hard to get behind the optic, I can see that being an issue. I didn't have an issue at all running this. I felt very natural behind it, on the lower magnification ranges especially. But wrapping it all up, I did enjoy it a lot more than I expected to. It's a very cool optic. I'm on the fence whether I want to get one or not. I think it has a lot of good applications. I'm just really curious about the durability and longevity of the optic. Primary Arms also has this problem with giving us something that we all like and then taking it away, like the 2.5 to 10. I also feel that this optic, it has everything that everyone asked for. The parallax adjustment, the low profile turrets, the small signature, the disappearing bezel, like it's like they went to the Lowe factory, dropped all this off and said, do all of this. And Lowe was probably like, hey, I can do 90% of this and not have any downsides, or I can do all of this and you're gonna have these issues. And they said, that's fine, just do it. And this is the optic we came out with. It feels to me like a lot of these new engines that are turbocharged and very small, they have a very tight performance envelope, and as they sit from the factory, they perform well, but the second you start pushing it or doing anything extra to it, it's gonna go. So it feels like one of those optics right at the edge of its performance capabilities. I do like that they tried something new, and I do really like it. I come at these optics like a regular average shooter if I just picked the thing up and started using it, which is exactly what I did. And I found it very usable. I see why people are drawn to this optic, and I see why this is gonna push some performance envelopes and get some people on the drawing board. I think it's a great concept. I think to adjust for some of the issues I have, the 34mm tube is probably the way to go. But it's light, it fits in a tight spot, and it does a lot of things, and the reticle is very good, I thought. I don't mind the center chevron. I think the chevron stuff's kind of dead though. Most people like a really nice fine dot. I could make it work. I'm not gonna use the chevron the way they want me to use the chevron. But it's not intuitive to use. I know once you get used to it, you can use it, But the second you start, even this reticle and this 2-10 is so much easier to use because it's just a dot. The chevron thing, when you're using it at speed, really you're not gonna notice it. I think it's gonna be more an issue when you're trying to do the most precise possible work you can, but this isn't an optic you're gonna be shooting incredible precision with. It's just not set up for that. It's set up for faster engagements. And I don't know if my caveman ass needs one. I'm still thinking about it, but the price tag is pushing me away. I'm gonna be transparent here because there's other optics in that price point, even with my expert voice discount, you know, my military discount, it's still sitting in a pocket where I'm looking at other optics, if that makes sense. I might still get one though, because running that 14.5, that exact setup he has is so nice and it felt so good to use that I may get one at some point. I'm also not the biggest fan of primary arms for a few reasons. I did enjoy it. I don't want you to think that any of the negatives I listed are a showstopper for me, except for what I really harped on. I think the durability and the price for me is probably the biggest hang up. I could make the distortion work. I could make a lot of these things I'm concerned about work on this optic. And if somebody handed me that exact 14.5 rifle that Vore has set up, I really genuinely believe I could use that effectively out to 600 yards, 700 yards, and use it how I needed to use it. So I think overall, very good optic. I have some concerns and it's not perfect. So if you're thinking that, you know, the influencers telling you that it's a phenomenal optic, it's got edge to edge clarity, everything's amazing, it's not, but it's really good and I did enjoy it. Hopefully, again, this isn't a full review. I don't have one to mess with just yet. I may or may not get one, I'm on the fence. But just an initial look and using it, running it on a rifle I'm comfortable with, I found it very intuitive to use and I was very happy with it. So I think it's worth a look if it's in your price bracket and you're okay with some of the limitations with it. But anyhow, thanks for being patient with me while I'm still active duty. Thanks for watching. Take care out there.